In Uganda, land is one of the most treasured assets and is a matter of life and death to many. However, the more an ordinary person acquires land, the more the grabbers respond to seek ways of stealing it.
Bakubidde buli mutuuze wa nesimu olinawo obukadde obuna oba olinayo obusatu olinayo obubirinze nkuwandiike nkusazeemu embeera efaana bwetu ya kifere.
Most victims are the old and poor who are not battle-hardened to last the fight, and the less or uneducated with hardly any trace of tracking methods. The courts of law are flooded with land cases, and the above are the victims of ignorance or sometimes the shrewd masterminds of the grabbing game who at most prove unbeatable in court. In this chilling discovery, I found out that fraudsters have access to basic legal knowledge that most victims either ignore or do not know. The syndicate brings the police into the picture, and how responsive.
With the police, we investigate such cases, we take people to court, but some Ugandans also feel that the police should handle all of these without them lifting a finger. Sorry.
According to police, each day a land fraud dispute is recorded.
Land fraud is a huge problem in this country, and largely because of ignorance and using third parties. Third parties are fraudsters. Many times their interests are different from your interests. They might give you documents which are fake. They might give you right documents which would later be questioned, yet they will have defrauded you. For them, they don't make losses.
My interest in this assignment is to unearth the epidemic, the masterminds, the victims left devastated, a fortune lost, and lives broken, and how the fraudulent transfers and transactions are managed. It starts with the source, the shrewd fraudster who plans a clean mission in a dirty industry. I discover land fraud cases that had robbed the innocence of ignorant victims. This is a classic case of it. In this land dispute, family members of the late Valentino Rwanga, led by Noelina Nanskombi and Agnes Namala, accuse one Bernard Tungakwo of using deceit to defraud them of 36 acres of land. Tungakwo is the current Prime Minister of Toro Kingdom, one of Uganda's solid monarchies. The land in question is situated at Sisa in Wakiso district. I am making my way to Sisa. It is about 30 minutes drive off Entebbe Road from Kampala. This is the land in question, which is an estate property and is divided into two blocks. The first one is registered as Busilo Block 405, Plot 100, and comprises of 6 acres, while the other is registered as Block 412, Plot 12, and is 30 acres. We now trace where it all went wrong. I meet Noelina Nanskombi, who is 69 years old, a daughter of the late Valentino Rwanga, also one of the administrators of the deceased's estate. Nanskombi says that at the death of their father, the will he left clearly indicated the beneficiaries of his estates, including sisters Teresa Nakalanzi, Agnes Court-Leader Namala, herself, and brothers Fred Sempila, now deceased, and the late Kalanzi, who was the heir. In a candid revelation, Nanskombi tells me that one of their brothers, Fred Sempila, ghosted behind the family to process letters of administration of the estate of the late with the weight of an agent, Bernard Tungakwo.
Yakola bukujjukujju. Naye nga tetumuwanga buyinza ku. Yagenda n'alikyusa nga bakolaganye n'ono Bernard. Owulidde n'agenda n'alikyusa nga naye era tetumukkiriza. Bernard ne balikyusa Bernard n'alikolako n'ebyapa. Oyo Katikkiro w'Ettoolo n'alikolako n'ebyapa nga ffe tetulikkiriza ne Sempira tetumukkiriza era tetumuwadde buyinza. Gwe baakolagana. Sempira we yafiira. Tetwakkaanya twagaana era ffe ne tumugamba tetutunda ttaka. Namugamba yali atudde awo ewange wano ku Kifugi. Ne mugamba nti n'abaana bali ab'omufu eyasikira taata waffe bakuze. Ettaka eryo tutuule tuteese. Buli muntu agira oba ayagala okutunda atunde. N'abaana kakati balina okwesalirawo. Sempira yayita eri n'agenda oyo Benard Katikkiro waaki weegindi wettoolo. Ne bateesa ne babba ettaka eryo. Bw'avaawo nti abo abakyala banguza. Ffe kye tutakolangako. Bw'avaawo nti baaliwa mwannyinaffe baaliwa mwannyinaabwe yalinguza. Gundi yamugamba era nantaba nti oba baali kuguza leeta n'ennankani eyo kwe wagulira. Teyabireeta.
Now, Nance Kombi tells me how she met Tungwako through his brother Sempila, who introduced him as an interested buyer of their father's land, a proposal her and family objected to.
Nga batuyita kalenda nga ngenda ne roya na tugira ne roya waffe nga tutwala ne roya waffe nga ffe tugamba Benard tetutunda ttaka eryaffe tetulitunda. Bw'oba otunda eriryo mwannyinaffe tunda nga oyo mwannyinaffe atugamba mutunde ettaka bannyinaze nti ffe tetutunda ttaka lyaffe tetujja ddiguza Benard. Ffe gwe salako ezizeeyiika nnya ffe eryaffe olirekewo. Baagiranga bateesa ne Benard nga baagala ndowooza ku libba lyonna amugamba nti ettaka oba yamugamba nti baali kubanga yagamba Benard yagamba nti ettaka lyoyo Sempira mwali mwannyina mwali muwa era ne bwe munaagira ettaka lya Sempira nja dditwala.
Unfortunately, little did they know that the two were already in deep collaboration and were on a process to dispose of the family estate. Sempila succeeded, and before they knew, the land titles had changed names. According to Nance Kombi, they quickly embarked on a process to revoke the letters of administration that their brother Sempila had acquired as a single beneficiary under a due court process. Sadly, as the disagreements and the court process went on over the land, Sempila died mysteriously.
Okufa Benard n'agenda n'akyusa ekyapa nga mwannyinaffe afudde. N'akola olukujjukujju n'akyusa ekyapa n'amanya n'agataka n'aliza amannya ge nga bwe yaligula lirye naye ng'ate abbalibbe.
Quickly, the agent Benard Tungwako embarks on a process to transfer the land titles into his names. Although the family won the case to revoke the letters of administration, the regional land title of Block 412, whose land sits on 30 acres, had been changed into Benard Tungwako's names, and now they have to embark on another court process to repossess it. Now, this is the land in question here in Sisa, and it is an estate property that is divided into 2 blocks. Now, it stretches to down there, and it's about 36 acres. Now, it is this piece of land that the family claims that Benard Tungwako took from them fraudulently. I sought the view of Benard Tungwako, who insists he is a businessman engaged in real estate. Tungwako, who now claims he is a purchaser of value, says he bought the land from its chief custodian, now the late Sempira, also his former associate.
The land I bought in 2009. 2009, 2010, there around there. And I bought it from the registered proprietor. I don't know the terminology, you understand. The one who was in the title. Who is the registered proprietor? The person that owns the land by virtue of him being a registered proprietor.
I see a name, Sempira, something
now,
like that.
Now, after that, after certain time, are we together? There comes the family after that person is dead and said, that one was our brother, we should have been owning the land together. The Lord has not provided that. And it was transferred into my names. I have the land titles. So I can't go beyond that. That's why we are in court.
But one Geoffrey Kalanzi, the son of the late Sempira, also a former close associate of Tungwako, refutes these claims, and his story about Tungwako is different. He claims Tungwako did not buy this land at any one time.
Ettaka lino yajja ng'ayagala ng'okuligula. Era bwe yajja okuligula taata n'amugamba nti aliriko nga omukuumi kuba lyali lya nsikirano. Tinaalinako bannyina Nowena Nansikombi n'amala Olivia n'abaana ba muganda we Livingstone Kalanze yafa naye yali alese abaana. N'amugamba abantu abo bonna njagala babeerewo tutuule. Era basisinkana ne batuula. Bali gurupu y'abasatu abana baagaana nti ati tujja muguza ttaka lyaffe. Mwannyinaffe abamuguza ne bagaana okukkaanya. Ne baddayo ne batuula ku kalenda. Era Bernard Tungwako nga yabawa entambula okubanoonya gye bali. Ne bagaana era okumuguza. Nagaffe tujja bumuguza. Bw'atyo mu mbeera eyo n'ekitange bwe yaviira mu bulamu bw'ensi. Mu bwangu era yafa kikutuko. Bw'afa Tungwako yakomawo nti ettaka ndiguze. Era batandika olutalo lwe twatandikira. Bagenda mu makooti ng'ali naye gwalumiriza nga Kalanzi. Kuba sinze simuguzangako. Nze ndi muzzukulu. Basenga bwe bali. Aye n'omusike yasikira jjajja Bonya Stanley waali. Sinze yanetaana okuyingira mu nsonga ezo.
So how did Tungwako possess this piece of land? How did he get the transfer forms signed to be able to change the land title into his names? When I ask him, he refers me to his lawyer, whose number he did not give me, and then he breaks off. Did you buy this land?
Excuse me. Can you go to my lawyer and he handles it? Because it is in court. I don't want to develop the case, the court issues.
Yakwatagana ne lawyer ne bakikyusa mu bwangu nga tata amaze okufa. Era nze nali ndi awo n'agamba nti ekyapa ekimu ku bino ebyapa bibiri tunayo kyayika kati we tuyimidde wano ziika 3. Ono wayitawo guno mutaba baguyita Bukasa. Ate obukalo wansi waliwo omwala okudda sayidi tunayo yika 6 linaniganye eri bayita Lutaba. N'ekyo ekyasatu yakikyusa mu bwangu n'agamba tata we yakuleka ampadde transfer. Ekintu kyenjizamu guno mulundi ogwokubiri tekyaliwo. Kubanze bwe mbadde mu mataka muno maite omuntu omala mu malayo n'alyoka kuba transfer.
Yazaddiza era akolera mu bibye. Nkugambye yasima n'ebidiba ku ttaka eryo era tatukkiriza kuyitayo yadde okulinnyayo ekigere eki. Yateekangayo n'olaba n'ab'emmundu batukube. Abasajja abawa obusaale batukuba obusaale. Owulidde ffe bannyini ttaka erya taata waffe yakeera enkya n'atuzaala n'aligula. Tatukkiriza kulinnyayo ttaka lirye. Agamba nti naligula ku Sempiira. Byasanga byayogera oyo Katikkiro weki.
Bakulyeka bakujja ku mama gawo saninga kye papula kanze saasoma. Kwele lupapula nga luli mu Luzungu. Oyina n'olusayiningako tomanyi kyogenda kikyo sayininga. Koyiga bayite oyo Kalanzi dakkaanyizza naye kitali kituufu.
According to property valuers, the land in question that belonged to the late Valentino Lwanga before his death costs over 100 million per acre, and we are talking about 36 acres of land. The late Valentino had obtained the huge chunk of land in the 1960s before passing it on to the family upon his death. Now, part of the land is currently being used for some agricultural activities, and Tungwako has deployed private security guards around it with restrictive orders of access to family members. Meanwhile, this land case is still before the High Court. But how is land stolen?
Unfortunately, for those who don't write wills, for those whose property is not known, just expect more trouble. Fraudsters, people who have known about you, who have gotten hold of some of your documents, will purport to be your relatives, your children, your wives. They report you letters of administration very fast. They manage the estate of the deceased without you knowing, without the right beneficiaries knowing. They sell this property to the first, second, third, fourth owner, and maybe you might lose this property.
Acquiring letters of administration falsely is common in Uganda, and it is the commonest way in which land fraudsters take opportunity to deprive innocent people of their land. Now, acquiring letters of administration falsely is the most common way in which land fraudsters take opportunity to deprive innocent people of their land. Now, I'm moving to the office of the Administrator General right here on Amamo House, and this is where letters of administration can be obtained. And what I want to establish is how easy it is, or what opportunity does the process provide for land fraudsters to be able to acquire letters of administration and be able to take land which does not actually belong to them. I want to find out how this is done and just how the practice works. Now, my task at the office of the Administrator General is to find out two things. First, to try out on a move in which I could acquire letters of administration just fraudulently, and just to see if it is possible. A source directs me to one of the officials who sits in this room, and I'm told he gets involved in backdoor collaborations. But after making 2 straight attempts, I'm told my target is not in office, and I give up. I then embark on another move of finding out the right procedures to be granted letters of administration. I need to acquire letters of administration, and I don't know what to start, what to do.
When did the person die?
That's about, it's about, I think like 10 years ago.
What we shall do, we shall have to do the search first. You never know, maybe the file
Was already opened.
There is a possibility that some other people may come here and open up a file without your knowledge. So you must try to bring your name of assist.
At least already I have an answer that if you lost someone else could probably come and open up a file to pick up letters of administration before you know it. So I forge out a name of a deceased person, and after giving the names to the secretary in the office of the Administrator General, she does a search and tells me they are not there. So she tells me the procedure of acquiring letters of administration.
You come with a death certificate and the NOC letter, then you open up a file. The file like this is 2,000 shillings. But we require you to come with proof of death, that is a death certificate.
Oui?
A death certificate. And I believe 10 years back, and you still have a copy, even if that person died at hospital. You have that copy?
I don't think. But I ask her that I want an express process, and she insists there is no shortcut. Isn't that a long process?
There's no shortcut. That is the cheapest. Because if we tell you to process a long death certificate from the registrar general, it will cost you almost 1 month or even more than that.
But according to various sources, many people have lost land through this office by virtue of issuance of letters of administration to non-beneficiaries. I am led to SN Advocates, a law firm situated at Kisozi Complex in Kampala Central Business District, to meet Sophie Namirembe, a lawyer who I've been told has argued a number of land cases. Namirembe tells me that improper granting of letters of administration is the commonest way through which land fraudsters get land and properties.
People forge, they forge documents. Relatives of a deceased they claim to be the rightful beneficiaries, yet in actual sense they are not the actual beneficiaries. They eliminate the rightful beneficiaries, in most cases who are the children of the deceased or the wives of the deceased. They go ahead, process those letters of administration, the forged letters of administration. Upon obtaining, they go obtain certificate of no objection. At the end of the day, they start transferring or transacting on behalf of the estate, the deceased estate. They transfer, when a person gets letters of administration, he's now entitled to transfer the land.
Once a wrong element is able to acquire letters of administration, they eliminate the rightful beneficiaries of the deceased's estate and can dispose of the estates to another party. But Namirembe says although the purchase of value may be deemed innocent, some of them are land grabbers who actually abet the process to suit their interests.
The buyers facilitate the sellers to obtain letters of administration. So when they do facilitate, automatically they are influencing, they are privy to the fraud, and automatically it's forgery. It's the title is issued, eliminating the innocent or the rightful beneficiaries. They tend to be now like cut off.
In Nowelina Nanskombi's land case, she claims that Bernard Tungwako aided Fred Sempila for falsely acquiring letters of administration of their father. So, could Tungwako have abetted Sempila's wrongful acquisition of letters of administration to steal the land?
When the purchaser is privy to the fraud, now they cease to be bona fide purchaser for value because they are aware of the fraud. They know that this person who is obtaining or to whom the letters of administration are being granted is not the rightful beneficiary of the estate, and as such he shouldn't obtain those letters of administration. But just because they want to front their interests, they want to cheat off the innocent beneficiaries, they end up doing it anyway. So,
for clearer understanding of this issue, I seek the view of Yusuf Nsibambi, a long-time land administrator, currently the chairperson of the Kampala District Land Board. I task Nsibambi to explain how land grabbers work.
The land grabbers are not ordinary men and women on the street. You are dealing with people who are rich, people controlling state power, people with the backing of specifically district police officers and RDCs and other people, state operatives. So they have really protection. Like what happened in Kayunga, you see a full minister of lands was fighting a cartel, and she failed. She almost wanted to resign. So as land administrators, you see the issue of land grabbing is really a big issue. And I think expect the government to come out, because you see you are not dealing with an ordinary person. They have all kinds of protection. They have the money, so they can influence in our offices. They also have the capacity to influence courts, and they also have the capacity to influence the police. So, and the other side, they're dealing with actually ordinary peasants or individuals who have, the vulnerable, who have no capacity to fight the land grabbers.
Nsibambi also reiterates the issue of grant of letters of administration, where people go further to even declare others dead.
So you have letters of administration issued, and this person now declares that he's also a beneficiary. Upon selling, you see the other party who has bought is a bona fide purchaser for value. So you see that is really common. At times also the process is also unfair, because you understand that you are supposed to advertise in a national newspaper. So the people affected maybe have no capacity even to access these so-called national newspapers or the gazette.
Nsibambi also cites that there are also instances where more than one land title is offered to various parties, and in the process people take land that does not belong to them.
It used to be the case that you see you are now dealing with raw data, with the files, hard copies. It was not a computerized process. So the data of who owned which piece of land was not captured in the computer. So everything was on the file. Now, if, for example, I changed the transfer form and I put a different transfer form signed by a different party, the registrar will look at the signature, just the signature as it is on the file, and would compare with the signature that is presented. So in the process, you may issue a title. Then after issuing a title over the same piece of land and block, another file may be presented with the different particulars, but over the same piece of land. So again, you transact business, because the law will now assume that you just look at the names on the register, like Yusuf Nsibambi, without describing Maybe you look at the box number, but there's no actual description and identity of the individual involved. Now, I think that's also really common. But there are also occurrences where some unprofessional administrators are also involved in this scam. So they will issue maybe another title. So it has been here a common practice.
Sibambi blames it on the law, which he says protects land grabbers more than the vulnerable. When I meet Sarah Kulata, the commissioner in charge of land registry, who is also at the helm of protecting landowners against land grabbers at the country's Ministry of Lands, I put a lot of issues before her. Surprisingly, she's aware that fraud is going on and that many people are losing land in various ways, including through forgery of land titles.
The trend started around the 1990s, but it escalated in these 2000s. And the forgeries are very wide. Some are bringing forged certificates of title. Others are forged letters of administration, forged identification papers, or people claiming wrongly that they are the owners, and then we issue other titles. The document you might be owning might be a forged one. You could have been duped and been given a forged title, and you think it's an authentic one when it isn't.
So what has the ministry done to protect people from such land losses?
Now we require the passport size photo of the applicant to any of our transactions, be it a seller, a buyer, a borrower, a caveator, an administrator, an executor. We require your passport size photo. And when we get it, the moment we get it, we scan it in the system and it is stored.
We are looking at setting up a link with the Administrator General's office and also the ID project.
It is expected that with the new strategies the Ministry of Lands is launching, including a law to regulate land agents, working closely with the Office of the Administrator General and Judiciary to administer letters of administration to true beneficiaries, and title marking among others, this can eliminate these nasty incidences. However, for disputes such as the one between Nowelin and Nance Kombian family against Bernard Tungwako, the courts of law could offer redress. Moses Walugembe, NBS Investigates.